What is the yield curve and why is it important? The yield curve plots yields of treasuries and bonds on the vertical axis and duration on the horizontal. Normally it is upward sloping with long-term bonds having higher yields. It can also invert or become flat, which traders and investors carefully watch because this has been a predictor of recessions.
The reason why we watch the yield curve so closely is that it has been an incredibly accurate predictor of recessions. Every time that yield curve has inverted, the economy eventually has gone into a recession.
Many traders use the 10 and 2-year bond yields to track whether there is an inversion. This chart shows the difference between the 10 and 2-year treasury rates. When the line goes below the zero line, it represents an inversion. Those inversions have preceded every U.S. recession as indicated in the gray horizontal shaded lines. So what if the inversion reverses? Does that mean no recession?
Whenever the yield curve uninverts or re-steepens, people tend to be happier, more optimistic. If an inversion is a negative sign, then necessarily an uninversion would be a positive sign. And that may make intuitive sense, but what you'll see is if you look at a graph of inversions and recessions lagging thereafter, the yield curve typically uninverts even before a recession begins. You'll have this inversion with short-term rates exceeding long-term rates, and then it's not uncommon to see that correct itself even in the span between the initial inversion and the recession.
But what about Canada? Is there an inversion in Canada? Apparently, there is an inversion and it is quite deep this time. Most experts expect that it takes a year to a year and a half from the time of the inversion before we see the recession. When was the inversion? Mid-July of 2022. What happens in a recession? The economy will slow down, jobs will be lost, unemployment will go up, asset prices will fall. Asset prices as in stock and real estate will fall. If there is a recession, what are you planning to do?